How should Jerry respond to this?
I think he should continue doing what he was doing, just as in Ezekiel Elliott's case. If you believe you're right about something, why do you give it up as soon as you encounter an obstacle or resistance? Then maybe you didn't really believe it in the first place. It seems to me that Jerry Jones is saying the following about Roger Goodell. And by the way, it seems that Bob McNair also feels this way, according to what he said about the inmates running the asylum. He said prison, which everyone thought was directed at the players. So did I. And he said, no. That was at Goodell. I was cynical about that at the time, but now that some time has passed, maybe it really was at Goodell. And if it was, what we have here are some owners saying, well, we got a rogue commissioner, that we have a commissioner who has conflated, that means put together, the idea of the league on the one hand and himself on the other, and is treating them as though they're the same thing. And Jerry Jones, because this letter came from the commissioner's office to Jerry Jones. That's Roger Goodell. Now you could say, well, he has to have the support of some owners for him to do that. Okay, nevertheless, that's on the commissioner's office stationery to Jerry Jones, talking about cease and desist. I mean, what does that really mean? It means that Jerry Jones is saying, you are not good for the NFL right now, or I think we can do better than you. And Goodell is sending back to Jerry Jones, essentially, this is my interpretation of it, is sending back to Jerry Jones, I am the NFL, basically. And if you say that I'm not good for the NFL, it's the same thing as saying that I am the NFL. So you're taking a shot at the NFL if you take a shot at me. But that's exactly what Jerry Jones is voicing here, that he thinks the commissioner has too much power, essentially, this is what McNair suggested too, that he, in fact, works for the owners and not the other way around. So it seems to me that that's what it comes down to, the kind of powerful stakeholder in the corporation, the powerful shareholder, Jerry Jones, versus a CEO who he feels is too empowered.
It's amazing how complicated you make things sometimes, but I'll give you credit. Anytime I need dance lessons, I'm going to come your way because somehow, some way, this is what you do. You dance. It's very, very simple, Max Kellerman. Jerry Jones should drop this because his agenda is in question. I am on the record stating that Jerry Jones may have had valid points when you look at the career of Roger Goodell, the history of Roger Goodell, the fact that he's one of the owners who has to come out of pocket and pay Roger Goodell. His whole mentality is he makes a legitimate argument in terms of potential cause to revisit the contract negotiations of Roger Goodell. The problem is it would be better served coming from another owner because Jerry Jones was the guy that was an ad hoc member of the compensation committee. He was the guy that originally signed off on the contract extension. He was a guy that has religiously been on the record in support of Roger Goodell year after year after year, when all of these things that we bring into question was something that Jerry Jones never fretted over at all. But suddenly when Roger Goodell brings the hammer down on your guy, Ezekiel Elliott, and calls for a 6-game suspension of your guy and doesn't side with you on that issue, now there's this concerted effort to remove him as commissioner of the National Football League, because that's what I'm hearing. Let me be very, very clear. My sources in the NFL tell me that it's not just Jerry Jones, it's not just Mr. McNair, but also Daniel Snyder of the Washington Redskins, who's all in on it, wishing that something compromises the power of Roger Goodell to the point where they wouldn't even mind having another commissioner up in that piece. So when we understand that reality and we see that Jerry Jones is the ringleader, the question is, why are you the ringleader? How come Daniel Snyder can't step forward?
He's the most powerful, influential owner.
No, I understand that. It was a rhetorical question. Let me finish. The point is that I'm saying Daniel Snyder could step forward. He doesn't have somebody that's being suspended for 6 games from his squad. McNair, the same issue. But it's Jerry Jones who's doing this. And the reason why it's bad, it's because it's fresh off your guy being handed down a 6-game punishment. And if your agenda is something that comes across as usurping the agenda of what's in the best interest of the league, then you now have a problem. Again, I spoke to sources. They talked about how other owners jumped all over. Arthur Blank jumped all over him. Jeffrey Lurie jumped on him. Robert Kraft spoke up and said that he disagreed with some things, along with others. Why? Because everyone had the impression that Jerry Jones, according to what I have been told, everybody was in that meeting with the owners talking about the league. Jerry Jones was in there talking about the Cowboys.
Look,
that's the problem.